This is The Evolution of Collection Games by Jonathan Nieves. The origin of collection dates back to prehistoric times. Hunter and gatherer tribes used the skill for a variety of basic daily needs, such as gathering food with weapons. They first would have to go out and collect the materials to create the tools to use for hunting, such as bows, arrows, and axes. They also used collection skills to gather fruits and vegetables for food and mud and sticks for building places to live. When we are children, we are taught the most basic of skills. Collection is one of those skills. As a young growing mind, the simplest games can teach collecting. One of those games is the card game memory. It shows a child that when you find two of the same cards, to pick them up and put them into a pile on the side. Once he or she collects all cards in the pile, the game is over and they win. A form of collecting game that has evolved from memory is another card game called Go Fish. This game moves from cards with pictures to a traditional deck of cards. Go Fish gives cards that you can look at and teaches to gather information from your opponents and group your cards together with the same cards to score points. It also teaches that collecting the most cards of the same suit will likely make you the winner. Some other basic skills that Go Fish teaches kids while playing are arithmetic and memorization. Children learn odds and fractions playing the game, most of the time don't even know they are learning it. They do know that there are 52 cards in their deck and they have 7 cards in their hand. They can figure out what the cards are by simple mathematics. The next is memorization. This ties in very closely to the arithmetic part of learning. When a card is asked for by any player and the asking player has to go fish, then remembering for later turns that the person didn't have the card will greatly help you win the game. Another card game that teaches children about collection that evolved from the game Go Fish is another card game called War. The object of War is to win all the cards in the deck through a series of turns. Each player starts with half the deck, and then one at a time they flip the cards over. The player that turns the highest card over wins. This teaches children to collect as many high cards as they can to win the game, making War very similar to Go Fish in that aspect, and also very easy to learn. War has added some new skills evolving from Go Fish. Those skills are pattern recognition and evasion. Even though you no longer have to memorize exactly what cards you have in your hand, you can recognize patterns of when cards will come out to start wars or even just win the next hand. This also helps in evading wars that you will possibly lose due to having fewer high cards, or even being able to set up double wars to possibly win more cards and save a lower card that you would most likely have been taken. When the world began to evolve and virtual games became a big hit in society, a game called Pac Man was released. Pac Man was released in 1979 by a man named Toru Iwatani. It became the biggest collection arcade game in history. The game taught many people, both young and old, how to move a little yellow man around to collect dots to finish the level. It also became a big hit on home consoles such as Atari and still to this day on newer, next generation systems. It used a controller to move the man in directions while collecting as many dots as possible, while simultaneously avoiding certain doom in the form of four different colored ghosts. Other skills that were learned while playing Pac Man are evasion, pattern recognition, and risk assessment. The main mechanic of this game is to move around a maze, collecting dots, while evading four ghosts trying to stop you. The way to collect these dots is to move around the maze as fast as you can, while memorizing the paths of the ghosts and avoiding them until you can collect the large dots. Then the roles reverse, and these ghosts have to evade you. At this time, you can decide if you want to collect more dots safely or rack up more points by eating the blue ghosts. Another game to make major advances in the collection skills is a game called Gauntlet. This game is known as one of the most fun dungeon crawl games of its time. Gauntlet gave the ability for four players to join in combat and collect money, food, potions, weapons, and armor to make each participant stronger and give them longer lifespans. Still to this day, this is the basis of many similar game designs. Hidden treasures and dead bodies are some of the ways that you can collect these items and keep in your inventory to be used at appropriate times. Two other skills that Gauntlet teaches are resource management and pack mentality. When playing Gauntlet, you and your three other comrades run around a maze of levels fighting hordes of monsters. Being able to maintain resources and using them in the right time, as well as choosing who's going to gather what item, will make for a stronger team. Another skill that helps progress through the game is a pack mentality, which becomes very useful when you're going after large groups of monsters and you want to be able to kill them safely. A game that improved on Gauntlet's already strong collection system is the game Super Mario Bros. 3. The Super Mario franchise is one of the best known game franchises in video game history. For its innovative but true to the content gameplay, Super Mario 3 was no exception to this standard. From new power ups that can be found either through the level or being collected from mini games to secrets such as hidden whistles that were found either at the end of levels or behind rocks or even by killing other monsters. Other skills that Super Mario Bros. 3 introduced were evasion and memorization. These two skills worked hand in hand so that if you remember where all the enemies and traps are, it will help you complete each level with little to no trouble. Although collection is a big part of this game in other forms such as gathering coins for more points. The next major evolution in collection games came from Super Mario 64 on the Nintendo 64. When the next generation systems were released, it implemented new ways to improve mechanics in the games. One of the biggest advances to the Super Mario universe was the collection of stars to unlock new levels and progress. While you still had to collect coins and power ups, the new collections of stars added bigger challenges to the game that gave it more of a role playing feel. In Super Mario 64, some other skills that you learn, which build off an already successful design, are evasion, timing, and exploration. Evasion and timing are nothing that's really new to the Super Mario franchise. Being able to avoid your enemies and time your jumps to be able to take your enemies out is something that has always been a constant. Something new, though, is exploration. With the implementation of 3D worlds and new areas to unlock with stars, it gave the player an opportunity to search new areas and reach new heights. A game taking a new approach to role playing games and building off some of the major games such as Gauntlet and Super Mario 64 was the game Kingdom Hearts. Kingdom Hearts is one of the best collaborations between two of the biggest known media empires, Disney and Squaresoft. This RPG implemented many different forms of ways to collect. You would collect magic items, health restoration potions, stage specific skills, and some of the mechanics used to progress in the game. When playing Kingdom Hearts, you find yourself moving from world to world and exploring them for new items and experiences. If you go back to a world that you have already beaten, it is even possible to find secret hidden bosses that can give you amazing new weapons and armor. The skill needed for these ventures to old locations to collect new powers is assessing the risks of going before you and your team is strong enough or has the proper item to help live longer. The final game we look at in the evolution of collection games is the game Watch Dogs by Ubisoft. Watch Dogs takes a whole new direction in the evolution of collection. This game was introduced at this year's E3 convention and is one of the biggest breakout games of the year. Watch Dogs wowed the world with its stunning graphics and its new style of gameplay. The real time gameplay demo shown during the Ubisoft press conference shows how collecting data on civilians can be used to your advantage. It shows a man walking around and getting information on his surroundings to move and progress in the story. This information can be useful in causing anything from minor to major events. Watch Dogs' gameplay video was approximately 10.5 minutes long and showed a slew of different skills that you can use in this game. From reacting to specific threats to timing the changes of light to cause an accident, this game leaves many different ways to interpret how it should be played to the gamer. Also, from the beginning of the demo, see that assessing the situation gives you the time to decide what your next moves will be, whether it's moving slowly and quietly or quickly with guns blazing. Every action has a consequence. Finally, at the end of the demo, you see that no bad deed goes unpunished. Unless, of course, the cops that are after you can't catch you as you escape in a stolen car.